right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back another week of what are we calling this? Money market moves with Damian. Sorry, he's apparently he's been transplanted by a panda this week. I changed my locale to this
I would make a panda sound,
Roman.
but I don't know what that sounds like.
I don't know if they actually make sounds. I think they
You know
just
what's
eat
funny? It
bamboo.
actually takes your mouth and while you move it too. That's kind of interesting, but my hands don't show up for some reason.
Oh, your hands aren't showing up, just your face.
Just my face, but it is picking
Ah.
up my mouth for some reason.
All
It's kind of
right.
funny.
Well, so Damien, we were kind of chatting a little bit before we started rolling things. You were talking about kind of the international trade market, what's going on there, what your concerns are in terms of some of the economic moves the Trump administration's making. What are your thoughts? I guess just kind of open the floor up on that.
No, I mean, like, I was just discussing how I think Canada said this weekend how they're going to buy their planes from Europe now. I mean, a lot of bigger American companies are going to, not all of them, of course, but some of them are going to suffer from, Trump's tariff war. I mean, I think the main prime minister, or not the main prime minister, but the one that just got elected after Trudeau, I forgot his name, Mark something, right? But
Yeah, I'll look him up. The guy who
yeah,
just got elected,
yeah, his name's not important when you think about it. It's more he said we have to find
Mark
trade
Carney.
partners that Mark Carney.
Ma- yeah, Mark Carney, Carney. Yeah.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of like we must find trade partners who are reliable for the time being. So for the next 4 years, maybe switch more to Europe and Asia versus the US. And they're right. Like, I mean, they could, rely on the US for something for, for whatever, and then Trump could just say no, 100% tariffs. So, economically it makes more sense maybe for them to rely on other parties. And Trump is might be overplaying his hand, I should say. As I don't know if you follow Stephen King on Twitter, but he's one of my favorite authors. Stephen King, of course, the horror
Yep.
guy. And he keeps posting stuff on Twitter every day. It's funny. He's like, "Do you guys have buyer's remorse yet?" So I don't think, I think overall Trump is still pro growth. I think he's still pro everything. Like, and I think he's flexible to change things. I think like Trump, I think like let's say if the market kept going down, he would change his rhetoric. So I think whatever, happens now is in the short term. So he'll do whatever he cares so much about money at the end of the day that he'll do what it takes to prop up the market. But some companies will suffer, and this little downslide that we have could potentially be a little bit lower.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because you know, Trump obviously has the kind of the well, he markets himself as a businessman. Obviously there's a lot of criticism on his business practices, et cetera, whatever. I mean, I'm not a commentator that has any kind of knowledge about any of that, honestly, but um that the reason why he was popularly elected was because of his stance on things like fixing the border and fixing the economy and all that. And his tariffs are, I think, open to criticism, obviously, because of, like you're saying, the effects. um, what So I guess my question is, for somebody who's trying to like figure out the trading aspect of things, and we've talked about this before. You say like wait for Trump to make an announcement and then kind of figure out what your kind of weekly strategy might be. Um, do you think that maybe the next 4 years there's some industries you're going to probably back off on, like for example the defense industry, like you said with this particular situation, or can that be something you just, I guess you're waiting to see what the, I guess what the tariff effect will be? I don't know. How do you read that? Like what are you looking for?
I mean, I wouldn't really make a difference at this point if you said more tariff stuff. I think he's kind of said what he's going to say to everybody, right? So at this point,
Yeah.
you kind of just like looking for the chart to look a little bit better to start buying at this point because I don't think anything he says at this point is going to affect that much more. Like you said, stuff on China, on Europe, and he's probably gone with higher. I think what maybe I would be looking for more now is not so much what Trump is saying because he's kind of blasted out whatever he was going to say. You know, I don't think he held anything back. it's more how people are reacting to him, right? Like, so if Canada does go to Europe, and if Europe does get away from the US, and if China, does put more tariffs on the US, it's more what other people saying, then I would kind of look at that, like if more trade is lost from the US by people kind of walking away from the US at this point, that's the only thing I would watch out for. But at this point, it's been a month since he, came in the presidency. I mean, we're at 5,500, 5,550, maybe 5,600, depending on where futures open. We're down like what, 10, almost 10%. I mean, yeah, like you could go down to 5,000, but at the same time, like, are you okay buying here? Yeah, probably you are at this point. I would be careful. I would definitely look for, something good in the chart, but I think it's not so much what the US says at this point. It's like how the world reacts to it.
All right, so you're gonna look at how the world reacts, and I know we talked about this before, that kind of mindset, and that is that if the market does go down, it gives you an opportunity to buy at a lower price point, which is kind of like buying things on sale. So is there
Yeah.
anything, what are the deals I guess you're looking for? What are like the bargains that you're looking at right now, possibly in this environment?
I mean,
Besides
you know,
bamboo, of course.
bamboo's nice. I should have a bamboo tree behind me instead of a palm tree, but yeah, you could also like, you could buy anything that's been strong. I mean, unless there's bad news on it, it's, it's more likely to go up. They are saying that consumers have taken a downshift in the US economy. So, and they're blaming some of the immigration stuff on it, like, Walmart, Home Depot, these places where people like went a lot, like the illegal immigrants or whatever. I don't know anything about that, but I will say that people are going to run out of money at some point. So I would be less careful with the tech stocks because they're probably not reliant on consumerism as much as companies trying to gear things up. And I'd be a little bit hesitant on like the Walmarts, the Booking.coms, the Expedias, the travel sites. I don't know. I think that like property prices are going down a little bit. They're saying it's going down in Florida. It's going down in California a little bit, property prices. So, I would be a little careful with the anything non-tech stock, but some of these tech stocks that went down 10, 15%, is that free money? Could be.
Right.
Could
Yeah.
be free money. So maybe it's time to dabble into the QQQs a little bit, just a little bit, and if it goes down to 5,000, you buy more there.
Right. So tech stocks, you're saying, aren't as reliant on, let's say, customer sales, whereas those Walmart's, as big box kind of marketplaces that are relying on kind of people having money to spend, and with them not having as much, those ones are going to be suffering more. Um, so tech stocks, obviously international defense, maybe companies, ones that are not in the US at this point, at least in in the short term. What else? Is there anything else that might jump out at you?
Um, just I think people should find their own stocks. I hate recommending stocks or whatever. I
Yeah.
think people should invest in the stocks or the industries they understand, because there's no way one person, even Warren Buffett or myself, could be like, oh, this industry or this company is such and such. Nobody can keep track of everything. People should kind of like find their own industries, but at the same time, whatever they like has probably gone down a little bit. So, you know, you're always better off when the buying when the market goes down. And then has the market gone down last few weeks? It has. So this is the best time to look. The shoes that your wife wanted are 40% off. Well, I wouldn't say 40% off, but
Yeah.
10% off. But 10% off for stocks is kind of like 40% for shoes, doesn't it? It's like kind of the same. So it's time to go shopping, or at least look, browse. So I think it's something good to do would be kind of like figure out all the stocks that you like and see where they are now in relation to where they were 2, 3 months ago. I think that would be a good play for people.
Right. So stick with what you know. If you know tech, it's a solid place to kind of maybe stash some money there, crypto possibly, right? But you really got to stick with what you know. And I think the message is that that we've been kind of coming back to is Trump is going to say what Trump's going to say, and the market's going to react. And the question is whether or not this tariff thing that he's using. I think to just create leverage. I think it's just negotiations, public negotiation. If
Yeah,
that's gonna
but somebody has to back down for that to work.
right, right,
You know, and then
yeah,
like Canada's using the option of not backing down, and Europe so far as well. So hey, a little pushback. We'll see. I mean, ultimately, I think the U.S. is going to win all these because it's just the U.S. is too big. It's half the world's economy, really, or
yeah,
consumers, I should say. It's not the half the economy, but when you look at consumers, which is what is he's leveraging, is not so much, how much money the bank, the U.S. government has, but it's how much Americans are willing to buy. That's what he's
right.
leveraging. It's not, oh, we have trillions of dollars in Fort Knox. It's more our idiots over here are so miserable with their lives that they're willing to buy fifth TV that they don't need. They're not getting
Yeah.
enough love from their wives, or they're not getting enough good friends who have real conversations with them. So they go home and they're like, man, I've had not the best weekend. I may need to get a better version of this TV so I can watch football by myself next week. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, have you been to Canada at all? Have you been there?
Yeah, people are nicer there. People are happier.
Yeah.
Canada's a good country, except that I think it turned to shit with Trudeau last couple of years.
Yeah.
Inflation and prices, and people are generally unhappy for the first time. But overall, like throughout my life, I mean, we're about the same age, you and I. Like Canada's always been a nicer, better version of America, but now I'm not so sure anymore. A lot of immigration, maybe too much in their case. Is changing the country a little too much. I'm in favor of immigration too, but not to the levels that I think Canada has. A couple of my friends send like these like, festivals and stuff going on in Toronto. It's kind of hard to tell it's Canada anymore.
Anyway, well, thank you very much. Good luck this
I'm
week.
waving my hand, but you can't see it because the panda is not giving the hand.
Pandas don't have hands. They just have fistful of bamboo that they eat. But
Yes.
that's all I know about pandas. All right.
All
Well,
right.
good luck this week, Damian. I'll see you next week. All right. Have a good week, everyone.
All right. Bye bye.